Today is April 12th. We're going to get started. We're way past 6. Thank you again for your patience. And I'm going to ask our Madam Clerk for a roll call.
Councilmember Overton?
Here.
Councilmember Kramer?
Here.
Councilmember Bennett?
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Here.
Mayor Sabatier?
Here. Mr. Folsom, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we have a Bob Myers who is here to give us a prayer. Please step up to the microphone. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It is indeed an honor to stand when our last body exists. To invite the Lord for guidance. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this opportunity to rightly divide and discernment to know what to say and what to pass and what not to. Lord, I just thank you that we have the opportunity here as audience to voice ourselves and to find suitable solutions. Thank you, Lord, for all of this. In Jesus Christ I pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, Mr. Myers. Mr. Folsom, are there any changes to our agenda today?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to ask to make two changes to the consent agenda. First of all, I'd like to pull item number 7 from the agenda. And then second of all, I'd like to pull consent item number 10, but put it on the business item list and to be heard right after item number 11.
After number 11, okay. Can I get a motion for the changes, please?
I'd like to make the motion to accept the consent calendar with appropriate changes as stated.
Second. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving forward. We will have our first presentation, which will be brought to you by Mr. Folsom.
Thank you. Will, can you turn this down just a little bit? We're having trouble hearing.
Hello, it's getting there. It wants to.
So first of all, today was kind of a fun day, but a sad day. Javier Macias was retired today. I think a lot of you know him. He's been with the city for 22 years, primarily working in the parks. He's been a great public works employee. We were able to celebrate a little bit with him today. We gave him a nice plaque. That's Doug Herron, the public works director. That's Javier on the right. We had a real good get-together today. We don't normally do it this way, but we'll be here tonight at the last minute. This was being with Public Works, we had a cake with an excavator and a dump truck on there, so it was kind of fun. So I just wanted to share that with you. That concludes my report.
And if I may say one comment before we move on to the next item, can we please invite him to every Christmas parade? Because his little lawnmower spin was amazing, and I want to see that happen every single year. That's too much fun. I will come down for a presentation. With if you could please join me, Chief Sell. You first.
May I get all of our dispatchers in public safety telecommunications week this week? These are your Clearlake Police dispatchers. They work extremely hard. Just to give you some perspective, last year the dispatch center took in 27,000 phone calls. That equates to about 8 calls per hour, every hour, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And interestingly, they work in there primarily by themselves. We have one dispatcher that handles that volume. Outside the phone calls, they're handling the officers, radio traffic, and the window, sometimes during the business hours of the day. They're extremely busy. They do a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of each and every one of them. Thank you. So, for Public Safety Telecommunications Week, whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the City of Clear Lake Police Department Dispatch Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. Whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the City of Clear Lake Police Department Dispatch Center have contributed substantially to the appreciation of criminals and the saving of lives, apprehension of criminals and the saving of lives. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now, therefore, it is proclaimed by the Mayor and the City Council of the City of Clear Lake the week of April 8th through 14, 2018 to be Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Clear Lake to honor those whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. Dated this 12th day of April 2018. And this is signed by Mayor Bruno. So they have a special treat. What's that?
I'm asking Phil for pins.
They have a special treat tonight. We've made it so that a police officer is manning the dispatch console, so these ladies can all have an evening out to go to dinner and talk about some of their experiences. So thank you very much, ladies, for all of your contributions to it.
Hello. Hey. Thank you very much. So we're going to move on to our second, or I guess our third presentation of the night. Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Heavy topic right now, and it is all of these that I hold in my hand. I'm going to be honest with you, it saddens me that we're so aware of the things that happen in our world that are bad and that affect people in such a negative way, yet these things still persist. They still exist, and we still have to have a conversation in order for it to stop. And the question is, when will it stop? And it starts with us. It starts with the individual. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today, and I hope that when I'm done that you'll speak about the Denim Day, because I think that's an important and unfortunate recent case that has brought more importance to sexual awareness. So, Sexual Assault Awareness Month, April 2018. Whereas in 2017, Lake County agencies responded to the needs of at least 289 sexual assault victims and their significant others and or family members. And whereas no one person, organization, agency, or community can eliminate sexual assault on their own, and the partnership between public and private Lake County agencies is invaluable. And whereas child sexual abuse prevention must be a priority to confront the reality that 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls, I need to repeat that 1 in 6 boys and 1 in 4 girls will experience a sexual assault before the age of 18. And whereas Lake Family Resource Center has been instrumental in leading the way in the County of Lake in addressing sexual assault by providing 24-hour hotline services, continuing support, advocacy, and accompaniment to victims, survivors, and their significant others. And whereas ending sexual assault in Lake County must include active public and private efforts to speak out against sexual violence, and it is time for all of us to start conversations, take appropriate action, and support one another to create a safer environment for all residents. And whereas staff and volunteers of the Lake Family Resource Center Rape Crisis Center work year-round to encourage every person to speak out against sexual violence and to support survivors by providing prevention education and survivor empowerment information. And whereas Lake Family Resource Center and the District Attorney's Office, Victim Witness Division, local law enforcement agencies, hospitals, and schools have set an important example of how forging collaborative relationships improves the quality of service for those impacted by sexual violence. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor of the City of Clearlake does hereby designate the month of April 2018 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in Clearlake, April 3rd as the Sexual Assault Awareness Day of Action in Clearlake, and urges all local governments, schools, businesses, and community members to participate in the sponsored events this month to increase awareness and public support for creating communities free from violence and exploitation. Dated this 12th day of April, 2018.
Thank you. Come over here? Okay. So I first would like to thank the City of Clearlake for proclaiming April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And the one thing that I would just like to say is that sexual assault does not discriminate. Anyone can be raped. And if they are, Lake County has an amazing sexual assault response team who does provide those 24/7 services. But I would like to give great recognition to our staff. Our family advocates, they play such an important role in making this all happen. And as well as our community partners such as law enforcement and medical staff who just work so diligently at providing true services to every single survivor. So this year's theme to Sexual Assault Awareness Month is embracing your voice and take action. So I challenge everybody in here this evening to do just that. Do one thing this month, one thing this month to speak out. Or wear denim on April 25th, which is Denim Day. And I believe Angelina would like to speak just a little bit on what Denim Day is. So,
hello. So Denim Day happened in the 1990s to a young girl who was 18. She was taking her first driver's license by her driver instructor, who was a 45-year-old man. He then raped her for 4 hours after that and told her that, you know, if she told anybody, he was going to harm her. She brought enough courage to tell her parents, and her parents then helped her contact law enforcement to press charges. He then, the perpetrator then appealed 6 years later. The judge at that time felt that the girl's pants were too tight for him to alone take it off himself, that she had to help, so it was overturned at that point. Around 2008, between that time, every rape crisis center around the world was sending jeans to this judge and letting him know how that was unfair and unjust. So in 2008 in Italy, it was no longer a thing of what you wear was going to be used against you if you had a rape case. So that's why on April 25th, not everybody, but hopefully everybody will be wearing denim to support the young girl and many other survivors out there who didn't get justice.
so thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to admit it feels a little awkward to smile for a sexual assault awareness picture, but happy that we are talking about it and having a discussion.
Yes, sir.
He wants to go back to his seat. The next one is also very important. A very vulnerable part of our population, our children. And unfortunately, abuse of children still, again, persists. And the question again is, when are we going to stop? And what do we think the effects will be in our future? We always say our children are our future. If they are abused, if they are neglected, if they are not treated with love, what kind of future are we creating for ourselves? And so let's think about this and let's make a change. Whereas approximately 3 million children are reported abused and neglected in the United States each year, and whereas child abuse prevention, oh please, I'm sorry. Let's come up. We have LCOE representation here. Whereas, I'm going to start over. Whereas, approximately 3 million children are reported abused and neglected in the United States each year. And whereas child abuse prevention is a community problem, all citizens should become more aware of the effects of child abuse and its prevention. And finding solutions depends on the involvement of people throughout the community. And whereas, effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among social service agencies, schools, religious and civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, the business community, and supporting parents in raising their children in safe and nurturing environments. And whereas, new local initiatives to prevent child abuse include building resilience, a countywide collaboration, adverse childhood experiences, nurturing families programs, differential response, RCS wraparound services, infant massage, mother-wise and the protective factors, and whereas events take place in the community to promote awareness as follows. Child abuse awareness posters distributed in local businesses throughout the county for the month of April. April 21st, Children's Advocacy Walk and Festival. Child abuse prevention placemats dispersed the month of April at Lakeport Taco Bell. April 27th, Children's Memorial Day flag ceremony. And now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Clearlake does hereby proclaim April 2018 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Clearlake and calls upon its citizens, community agencies, religious organizations, medical facilities, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to prevent child abuse, thereby strengthening the community in which we live. Dated this 12th day of April, 2018, and brought to you by the City Council and myself as well. Thank you for everything that you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
So we'd like to invite our community in our county for our Pinwheel Challenge. The girls are distributing pinwheels. This is the national movement to promote child abuse awareness prevention. Pinwheels, plant a pinwheel in your garden, put it in your, make one, put it in your window. And remember that every child deserves love and to be free from harm. We also invite you to our Children's Festival that is on April 21st at Lakeport Library Park, and our Memorial Flag Raising on April 27th at 10 a.m. at Lake County Office of Education. And
We're still working
on our place for Clearlake. So thank you very much, and do something nice for a child this month.
Thank you so much. All right, this is the last one. Human Trafficking Awareness Day. And I believe I was just told, it says day, but I guess it's mine. I was just told this morning, and please look it up, I don't have all the details, but this Saturday, there will be a movie up. I can see you in the audience, so I will have all the details for that. Seroptimist has been one of the leading groups to discuss human trafficking here, having meetings with our law enforcement agencies and more. This is an important topic. This is, again, a topic that needs to go away, but unfortunately it's very real in our communities here. So thank you very much for being proactive and trying to deal with this in our communities. Human Trafficking Awareness Day, month. Whereas, human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery in which victims are forced to work in various forms of labor exploitation, including, but not limited to, commercial sex acts and other services induced through force, fraud, or coercion. And whereas, due to its isolating nature, many individuals across the globe are unaware that trafficking exists in their neighborhoods. And whereas it is estimated that more than 20 million men, women, and children around the world are victims of human trafficking. And whereas Seroptimus International of Clearlake has declared raising awareness of human trafficking as a platform of their work. Now therefore, let it be resolved that I, Bruno Sabatier, Mayor of the City of Clearlake and the City Council of Clearlake, do hereby proclaim April 14th, 2018 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month, and to call upon the citizens of Clearlake to recognize the vital role we can play in ending all forms of slavery, and to support Seroptimus International of Clearlake as they raise awareness through education and other efforts to stop human trafficking. Dated this 12th day of April, 2018.
Thank you, Mayor Sabatier. Thank you, members of the council and staff. We very much appreciate this. Seroptimus International of Clearlake is part of an international organization. The international organization has had human trafficking awareness as a signature project for some time. Here in Clearlake, our club recognized this as a project 2 years ago when we brought a trafficking survivor to one of our signature fundraisers. We decided to bring her back. She came back and did a human trafficking awareness event with us, and I want to thank and appreciate Chief Sully, because he was there and we talked, and he absolutely recognized the problem at that time. And since then, we can congratulate him and other people in law enforcement for the sting that recently happened, thanks to your good efforts. So my name is Olga Martin Steele, and I am chairing this project, but I wanted to also introduce Ray E.B. Carl and Fawn Williams, also members of our club. And lastly, I do want to invite all of you to a play. This is a second-year tour of Jane Doe in Wonderland. It is a play that speaks to the issue of human trafficking. It is actually for ages 14 and above, so it's appropriate to bring your young people. And the only way we're going to stop this is by raising awareness, by becoming educated. So join us Saturday, 7 o'clock, Soper Reese Theater. You can get your tickets at the door. They're only $15, and 18 and under, you get in free. So join us. Thank you again very much.
So we just brought up some three very important agencies, and if we could just get one last round of applause for Lake Family Resource Center, the Lake County Office of Education, and the Seroptimus Club of Clearlake. Thank you so much for the work that you do. And thank you, Chief Sully, for joining me up at the podium. All right, we will be moving on to public comment. For public comment, we are not allowed to discuss what it is that you bring to our attention. However, we will listen, and you will have 3 minutes to speak. You cannot speak on any agenda item that is on our agenda, as we will discuss that later on. But please feel free to come up. But right now, I have three. Oh, yes. Before I get started, one last thing. Mr. Jones, thank you for the reminders. I need a lot of reminders today. Mr. Jones, is there any report from closed session?
The report is that there was no reportable action in closed session.
I'm glad we got that part. Thank you very much. So moving on, I have Debbie Hahn. Thank you for being here tonight. You want to speak on safety?
Yes. Thank you for having me. Good evening, City Council and fellow citizens of Clearlake. I arrived here in Clearlake in late November of 2017, having moved back to California after living on a military base for the last 4 years. I no longer felt safe. I made an appointment at a salon here in Clearlake in the Safeway Center, witnessed a young man draw a gun twice on a victim. Police response was 25 minutes. Consequently, suspect and victims were long gone. Lesson learned: do not go out after dark in Clearlake. To quote Dr. Martin Luther King, I have a dream. For Clearlake, number 1, the right to go out at night without fear. Number 2, the right to shop in our neighborhood without fear of being approached by one or more folks and feeling fearful if you do not give or comply with them when they're asking for money. Number 3, the right to walk in peace without fear for my own safety. The right to feel safe in one's own community. I appreciate the police presence this past March in the Safeway parking lot, on Lakeshore, Old 53, Hillcrest, Davis, and once I actually saw them drive by our home on Crandall. This presence appears to make a difference for the people who live in this community and has made a difference that has slowed down folks who appear to roam our neighborhood aimlessly. Their intentions, I don't know, unknown. Would like to see more police officers present in our neighborhoods, as I believe it is an important deterrent to crime and the drug activity that exists in Clearlake. I realize our police force is busy. I hear sirens sometimes multiple times a day, and more than 3 times a week. Do we need more police? How can the community support this idea and get police if you need them? Because I really support you. My son was a police officer, my brother is a deputy sheriff. What other cities have done, and I'm not sure if this city has, but keeping the community safer by having police and firefighters live in our communities. I believe this to be vital. I would like to acknowledge Joyce. Thank you. It has been a pleasure to meet you at the Senior Center and to personally thank you for your service there and on our city council. Joyce, I believe, is trying to help our homeless population fight hunger and help seniors with their stresses and issues here in our city. I appreciate your time this evening. Thank you all for your continued efforts to bring positive changes to this community. Together, let's make Clearlake a safe place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Michael Hahn.
Well, if that impressed you, this really will. Not really, I'm just kidding. I'm disabled, I have a broken neck, I'm hard of hearing, as Mr. Sully just found out. Well, this is my like a yearly update. I've talked to Bruno. It's been about a year since May. About dog noise, domestic disturbances near Crandall, Hillcrest, and they have significantly reduced, but they continued to need to be monitoring by animal control, and police are still needed, I believe. I think Clear Lake City has a good potential to become an upcoming destination for people to move and stay here and live here. But investments in the following would go a long way to greatly improve the city's attractiveness. 1, camera placements in high crime areas. 2, connecting with people who will share their security recordings. 3, drug rehab, not jail, for abusers. 4, jail, violent people, 0 tolerance. 5, positive police role models for teens and kids. I'm sure they do that, but I'm new here. The 2 most important words for any government and city are accountability and transparency. Give people feedback when they make reports. Lastly, street repairs and avenues. A quote I'd like to give from Plato in 327 that may apply. Quote, "The form of law which I propose would be as follows. In a state which is desirous of being saved from the greatest of all plagues, not faction, but rather distraction, there should exist among the citizens neither extreme poverty, again against excessive wealth, for both are productive of great evil. Now the legislator should determine what is to be the limit of poverty or of wealth," end quote. I want to say thank you to Joyce Overton, Bruno Sabatet, Lieutenant Selly, Greg Folsom for helping me in the past. Thank you very much. I have a copy of this if anybody would like to, because I know I would remember it.
If you would like to submit it, please.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have next a Patty Duke.
Hi, I'm Patty Duke. I've worked in this city in Lakeport for the hospitals, and I'm currently the nurse case manager of community care. And I have clients, so I'm kind of active around here, but I'm starting to get active here. And this paper comes out on Wednesday. It comes out to most of the businesses, the coffee houses and stuff, and there's nothing in here about this meeting. And I understand it's on Facebook, but not everybody has Facebook. We have a lot of poor people here, but they do pick up this free paper. And if this meeting is in this free paper, that would be absolutely wonderful. So I don't know if that's possible. Now, the 3 ladies that stood here and received a People's Award, the last one that was here, when I was here, it had the article in the paper, but it didn't have where they received the reward. And so this city council meeting was not in that. I reread the article, and there was an article about Clearlake Oaks, their city council, something they did, and there was another one, I'm forgetting if it's Upper Lake, but there was 2 others that spoke of the city council meeting, but this reward did not speak of this city council meeting at this address. And I just believe that if it's in this paper, more people would be aware of these meetings and bring their concerns, and that's what this is for, I presume. So that's a concern, okay? It's public besides Facebook, because not everybody has it. And then I have another concern, I put down 2 concerns, okay? Now this is what I call like Agent Orange, only this is Agent Green, okay? I've worked here since 2003, I own property since 2007, and so I'm quite aware of the area around here. And as the vineyards have grown and all that, I've been through the fires, okay? If the fires had jumped 53, it would have come up my gully and taken my house out. So I had PTSD from the fires, okay? And I was coming back from the AIDS walk when Cobb was on fire. And that was like this big monster rolling across. That's when it first started. And so now I see this stuff. Okay, it looks like it's coming this way. It looks like a flock. Okay, it's coming down onto our trees. It's not in the Riviera. It's not in Buckingham. It's not in the city of Kelseyville. I didn't see it downtown Clearlake, but it is in my gully behind Taco Bell, and it's in the avenues. And then if you look in Lower Stigler Road, it's literally dripping. To me, it looks like it's ready to go. Fire. Once this, whatever it is, growth, this is new. I mean, I've been here since 2003. If you look at Lower Stigler Road, and then you go up out of Lower Lake up the grade, and it's all green all the way to Kelseyville. And that looks ready to go. Also over by Sutter Hospital.
And ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to finish your sentence. Your time.
I'm just letting you know.
Yes.
To be aware, it scares me because of the fires. This, once it's dry, is going to go.
Thank you very much. I believe that is all that I have. Is there anyone else that wishes to go to the podium for a public comment? All right, we will close public comment. And we will move on to the consent agenda. Is there anybody from the council that wishes to pull an item from the consent agenda? And item number 7 has been removed and number 10 has been moved to business. Seeing none, is there anybody from the public that wishes to pull an item to discuss? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to council for action.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item number 7
And number 10.
and 10.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Harris and a second by Councilmember Kramer. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Moving on, we will start with item number 11. Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I think everybody is aware, there is a current entry monument into Clearlake that's located at State Route 53 that's at Lakeshore Drive. It is it's brick and it's got kind of a faded bass fish kind of popping out at the top. That was constructed by the Lions Club. It's been out there for many, many years. It's currently in pretty poor condition. I apologize, I don't have a current picture of it. The Rotary Club has offered to replace the existing sign with something like this there in the middle. So all that brick is existing. I think it's currently like a blue background and it's got the fish or something like that. This is kind of a rendering of what it potentially could look like with the city logo in the middle. There would be additional wording underneath that utilizes our city motto of living the lake life. The Marketing Ad Hoc Committee has reviewed this and recommends approval. Mayor Sabatier has met with the Lions Club that originally put it out there and got their conditional approval as well, but I'll let you give more information about that.
So I did present to the Lions Club this Monday. They love the idea. However, they did request that we put a welcome to on there, just rather than putting Clearlake and just our logo as is was not enough for them. They wanted to make sure and have the welcome to portion. They also did, so they voted on that, so that's something with their approval to add the welcome to. They did have a side discussion, there was no vote on it, to see if in the future we can have a board underneath with all the service groups so that that would be visible from the highway rather than going down Lakeshore where it is currently situated at this moment. Other than that, they were really happy with the fact that it would be redone, and they think they were really happy about it. Enthusiastic.
And I'll just add, we do have a permit with Caltrans for the maintenance of that, although something like this, I would like to go back to Caltrans, have them just give us approval on those changes as well. And we do have Dirk Slotin, who is the president of the Rotary Club here as well.
Would you like to speak on this topic, Mr. Slotin?
Dirk Slotin, president of a local Rotary Club. I've been driving by that sign and it looks awful. So I'm happy that we as the Rotary Club can offer to pay for this and hopefully we'll install it with some volunteers. I think it will make the entrance to the city a lot better and more beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Any questions, let me know.
Any questions for Mr. Slotin before he sits back down?
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to thank you. That was our idea when we did the logo in the first place. We wanted to really attract people to our city, and this is exactly what we're looking for. Vice Mayor Harris has something to say.
And I really like the idea of adding something to the bottom of that to facilitate our service organizations putting their emblems out there. So I'd like to, if possible, to incorporate that into the overall design.
Okay, we will contact Randy here who put this together, and we will come back with the welcome sign, welcome to Clearlake sign, and living the lake like some kind of design of that, and hopefully we'll get a little space underneath it that can where we can put the logo for the Lions and the sophomores and the Rotary clubs under, just like it is by IJ.
Right. Mr. Kramer?
Yes, Mr. Slotin, I understand you're also looking at another location for a future.
There's on the north side of Old 53 and 53 by the across from the AT&T and the school bus yard. There's a kind of a homemade sign there, and we'll try to contact the owner and try to duplicate the same thing on that side.
Wonderful.
But we haven't been able to contact and get approval from the owner on that.
Councilmember Bennett?
The welcome to would be above our logo, not in it, I take it.
I will have the graphic designer, if that's his kind of job to do so. He will decide, or he will figure out where it's the best located.
And if I'm correct, nothing will be posted without the full approval from the council, or this is the okay? And
If that's your desire, yeah, we can bring back the final design for your approval.
I think so. I think it's something that everybody's going to see, and so I think getting public comment on it and having our approval on it would be the best way to go.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to open this up to the public. Anybody who wishes to speak on this item, please come and step up to the podium.
Hi there, my name is Mike Constance. I don't have a lot to say, I just want to make a suggestion. If you don't already, didn't already think of this, maybe provisions for lighting, so in the evening, people can still see the sign. I don't think there's any lighting on it now. So.
I think you're right.
All right.
I
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
that comment. There's definitely the solar possibility. Anybody else wish to speak on that?
Wasn't lighting now.
Seeing none, I'm going to bring it back to the council. Do we want to take action, talk about it?
Yeah, just if you just want to give me consensus to proceed with this.
Looks like you have consensus from all the comments that we've heard tonight. Perfect. We're going to move on to now item number 10. Is this correct? Did I do that correctly? Mr. Folsom?
Yes, and let me just get right to it. It was brought to our attention today that there was a bit of an error in, let me just turn back to it. So in the recitals for the development agreement, one of the actions that was taken at the Planning Commission was, if you look at recital page, under recitals page 3, letter O, at the bottom there's a statement about will not be detrimental to the health, safety, general welfare of the city. The Planning Commission had asked for that to be removed.
The one starting with after conducting a duly noticed? Right.
Yes. Sorry to duck out any. So let's see. A motion was set forth to approve the resolution accepting the development agreement. Specifically, the phrase will not adversely affect the orderly development of property or the preservation of property values as well. Will not be detrimental to the health, safety, general welfare of the city, or will not adversely affect the orderly development of property and preservation of property values. So they asked for that to be struck. That was from the minutes.
What I will note is these are in the recitals, not the agreement itself. This would be a sort of a non-substantive change. This is just reflecting what accurately happened in the Planning Commission, as opposed to having any impact with the development agreement with this entity.
If I may, this portion is, not to say rhetoric, but it's mainly just a summary of what is going to be explained in this further ordinance that really, or agreement that really sets the details of the agreement itself.
Correct. And we discussed it with Mr. Sklar earlier today. From his piece here to discuss it, but from his side, he knows doesn't change anything from his entity, and I don't think has any issue with the proposed change. And because it is, we'll call it sort of a Scribner's error, we don't think it requires any sort of further amendment. We just need to reflect it as we approve it tonight, if that is the will of the council.
Are there any questions before we open it up for the public? I'm going to open this up for the public. Is there anybody that wishes to speak on this? How are you doing tonight?
Good to see y'all. No issues with this. We agreed with it when it was passed at the Planning Commission. It was obviously just didn't get caught in the final editing of it. It's not substantive, and we think it should pass tonight. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this item? All right, thank you very much. Have yourselves a good evening, and we're going to bring it back to the council for action or deliberation. I'm perfectly fine with the change since it is just nothing that changes the agreement in itself.
If everybody's okay with that, I'd like to make the motion and accept ordinance number 205-1018 and uncompetitive ordinance, am I right?
201.
201.
You back us up 1,000 years,
Sorry. Uncompetitive ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clearlake approving a development agreement with the Clearlake Growth Fund 1 LLC and Clearlake Growth Fund 2 Incorporated and Clearlake Growth Fund 3 Incorporated for the property located at 2395 Ogden Canyon Road with the edited as so stated earlier.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilmember Overton and a second by Councilmember Kramer. Can I please get a roll call?
Councilmember Overton?
Aye.
Councilmember Kramer?
Aye.
Councilmember Bennett?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Sabatier?
Aye. Thank you very much, and congratulations for getting us through the second reading. We are now going to move on to item number 12, and I'm going to jump directly over to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lambert.
So this is a public hearing to confirm assessments for administrative penalties for failure to obtain an outdoor marijuana cultivation permit prior to the outdoor cultivation of marijuana. The purpose of the hearing is to consider and act upon any and all protests of proposed assessments for fines for failure to obtain an outdoor marijuana cultivation permit prior to the outdoor cultivation of marijuana. Upon consideration of the evidence and testimony, council may grant the protest and revise the resolution to remove the assessments or deny the protest and confirm the assessments as proposed, or modify the amount of assessments and revise the resolution to reflect the modified assessments. Pre-hearing information. The property owner was given notice of the violations by issuance of an abatement order and adequate time to voluntarily correct the violations. The property owner was notified of the fine for the illegal outdoor cultivation of marijuana without first obtaining an outdoor cultivation of marijuana permit. This information is included in the abatement order. The property owner was given a notice of their right to appeal the imposition of administrative penalties. The property owner failed to submit in writing a notice of appeal of administrative penalties within the prescribed time allowed. The property owner was issued a billing invoice for the fines due. The property owner then failed to submit payment in full to the city for the fine due for failing to obtain an outdoor cultivation of marijuana permit. Attached to your staff report is the proposed resolution confirming assessment and statement of expenses. Staff recommends that council confirm all assessments as proposed. Should the council or the property owner wish to address the citing officer, we are able and willing to respond to questions. I'd like to now present to you the evidence of the properties. Staff recommends that at the mayor's discretion, the list of proposed assessments be first read in its entirety by address and property owner only. After reading the list of proposed assessments, if any person wishes to speak on behalf of any said property, then the mayor shall pull it from the list for comment and testimony to be heard.
And that's what we did last time. I think that worked out really well, and I thought it was an efficient way of going through it, so I agree. Go ahead and please read out the addresses. If you hear the address and you are here to have testimony on that specific address, raise your hand when the address is read, and we will make sure to give you a chance to come to the podium when we're done reading all of the addresses.
First, Mr. Mayor, in the last 2 weeks, we've been very successful in collecting some payments So I'd like to pull some numbers from the list. Number 1, 13765 Arrowhead Road. Number 4, 14179 Pearl Street. Number 7, 30516 Street. Number 13, 3337 13th Street. Number 14, 3377 13th Street. Number 15, 5933 Cottage Avenue. Number 16, 15386 Hudson Street. Number 18, 15265 Canocti View Road. Number 19, 3316 Lilac Avenue. Number 20, 6416 Old Highway 53. Number 22, 14185 Ewell Avenue. Number 32, 16034 18th Avenue. Number 35, 15961 21st Avenue. Number 36, 16258 21st Avenue. Number 37, 16288 21st Avenue. Number 38, 16298 21st Avenue. Number 39, 16338 21st Avenue. Number 43, 16326 22nd Avenue. Number 48, 16225 29th Avenue. Number 52, 16383 31st Avenue. Number 53, 15839 32nd Avenue. Number 56, 15616 33rd Avenue. Number 57, 16153 33rd Avenue. Number 59, 16174 33rd Avenue. Number 60, 16234 33rd Avenue. Number 61, 16305 34th Avenue. Number 66, 15628 37th Avenue. Number 67, 15474 38th Avenue. And number 72, 15654 Sharp Drive.
Thank you very much.
So we begin with number 2, 3713 Coloco Street, property owner Christopher White.
Okay, we will go ahead and pull that and let you speak once we're done with all the rest.
.3399 Mint Street, property owner Joseph Jones. Property number 5, 14209 Pearl Street, property owner Paul and Shauna Gardner. Property number 8, 30616 Street, property owner Mario Soto.
Did we skip number 6? Did that one get paid? I don't have it scratched off, I might have missed it.
Yes, number 6 was paid. 14112 Woodland Drive, I might have missed that one.
Thank you.
Frank A. Ziadan.
And then you just read 30616 Street. Anybody here for that property? All right, thank you. Let's keep
Number 9, 30716 Street, property owner Mario Soto. Number 10, 33477 7th Street, property owner Prisciliano Vargas. Property number 11, 33557 7th Street, property owner Prisciliano Vargas. Number 12, 3146 12th Street, property owner Eric Velasco. Number 17, 3570 Jago Avenue, property owner Furman Cuevas and Sonia Cuerdas. Number 21, 4116 Sunset Avenue, property owner Michael Morzoyan. Number 23, 5539 Vallejo Drive, property owner Diego Noriega Zazueta. Property number 24, 4695 West 40th Street, property owner More Doors LLC. Number 25, 4792 Yarrington Court, property owner Francisco Noriega Leon. Number 26, 16644 Fifth Avenue, property owner Michael E. Roy. Number 27, 16664 Fifth Avenue, property owner Michael E. Roy. Number 28, 16036 14th Avenue, property owner Venustiano Felix Ochoa. Number 29, 16046 14th Avenue, property owner Venustiano Felix Ochoa. Number 30, 15746 18th Avenue, property owner Luis Angel Ortega and Sierra Martinez. Number 31, 16003 18th Avenue, property owner Catherine Begley. Number 33, 16454 18th Avenue, property owner Sylvia Veronica Alcazar. Number 34, 15820 20th Avenue, property owner Dwayne Redmond and Charlene Redmond, trustee. Number 40, 16389 21st Avenue, property owner Venustiano Felix. Number 41, 15594 22nd Avenue, property owner Marcela Dorado.
Okay, and we'll discuss that property when we're done.
Property 42, 16317 22nd Avenue, property owner Salvador Mendoza and Norma Rivera Hernandez. Number 44, 15776 25th Avenue, property owner Anthony Alvarez. Number 45, 15786 25th Avenue, property owner Val Toland. Number 46, 15757 26th Avenue, property owner Randy Freitas. Number 47, 15767 26th Avenue, property owner Jorge Mentiel Avalos. Number 49, 15595 31st Avenue, property owner William B. and Florence Warren. Property 50, 15654 31st Avenue, property owner Julia Johns. Number 51, 16268 31st Avenue, property owner Flatiron Holdings LLC. Property 54, 16111 32nd Avenue, property owner Warren Bright. Number 55, 15586 33rd Avenue, property owner Charles Green. Number 56, 15616 33rd Avenue, property owner Charles Green. Oh, no, sorry. Strike that. Number 58, 16163 33rd Avenue, property owner James Merriman.
We'll be discussing that property.
Property 62, 16307 35th Avenue, property owner Gregory and Linda Reynolds. Number 63, 16452 35th Avenue, property owner Jose Luis Avalos. Number 64, 16452 35th Avenue. Property owner Jose Luis Avalos. Number 65, 16463 36th Avenue. Property owner Humberto Molina Navarrete. Number 68, 16224 42nd Avenue. Property owner Hector Medina Aso. Number 69, 3581 Eureka Avenue. Property owner Orencio Velasquez Ramos. Number 70, 4055 Eureka Avenue. Property owner Jack Demron. Number 71, 4075 Eureka Avenue. Property owner Jack Demron. And that's it.
I do have a quick question before we get started on the testimonies. I see here that on 63 and 64, it's repeated on the exact same address. Does that mean that that cannabis was eradicated and then cannabis reappeared? Or just wondering why there's two separate fines rather than one fine? Were they multiple seasons? Or?
Correct. One, it was, the first one, number 63, was prior to the new ordinance taking effect on June 1st. That's why it's a $300 assessment. And they grew again afterwards once the new ordinance took effect, so we couldn't double the fee, but we fined them again the $500.
For another incident.
Correct.
Thank you for the explanation. So let's start at the beginning. And the first property that we have somebody here is for 3713 Coloco Street, owner Christopher White. If you would please stand up. And first I'm going to ask for our code enforcement to, would you like to give us a little bit of background on that property first before we give the testimony? Thank you for being here.
Sure, Mayor.
That is number 2.
I received a complaint from some of the neighborhood regarding Mr. White's property, that there was marijuana along with other violations on the property. That was around September 11th, 2017. I did do a site visit that day. Did photograph the marijuana being grown at the back of the property. Came back and confirmed there was no permit on file for Mr. White's property. It wasn't a huge amount of marijuana, but it was, I believe, around 6, but there was no permit on file. Additionally, Mr. White's living on the property in an RV and not a structure. Mr. White was issued an abatement order and an administrative citation for the cultivation of the marijuana on September 13th, 2017, with a compliance date of September 19th. Going back out there, the marijuana had been removed, however, which means he was not fined $1,000 per plant. However, he is responsible for the $500 penalty for not obtaining a permit prior to the cultivation.
Mr. White, I take?
Well, I'm new to Clearlake. I had a house in Santa Rosa for 16 years, which I can no longer afford after my wife's divorce and left me or whatever. But I was unaware of any $500. I didn't know. Back in Santa Rosa, we didn't have to talk to the city about growing. I had a doctor's recommendation, and it was legal to grow there. So I was unaware that I had to get a permit from the city. That's about all I have to say.
Are there any questions for Mr. White?
Just a recommendation that, yeah, when you come into a new location, of course, you probably want to make sure that you're familiar with all of the local ordinances, because of course it's going to change from city to city.
Is there any way I can make payments?
I would say approach the city on Monday and have a conversation with what is available and possible.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I believe the next testimony we will hear is from property number 41 located at 15594 22nd Avenue.
This is Officer Felder's case, so I'll go ahead and refer him to it.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Felder. Good evening, council. Please give us a little bit of background on this property.
Okay, back in September 2011, or excuse me, September 11, 2017, I was driving on 21st Avenue and I seen that there was marijuana being cultivated at 15594 22nd Avenue. I did a administrative citation and abatement order on 9/18, 2017. On September 25th, 2017, I went for a follow-up and the marijuana was gone. And I also send out a billing statement for $500 the same day I send the abatement order and administrative fine, or administrative citation. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Are you Ms. Dorado?
Yes, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I had a friend grow at the house, and he told me he got the necessary permits, and I didn't bother to check because I trusted him. And then all this time, I've been calling him and texting him for him to come to the house to talk about the fine, and he never came, and then moved to Mexico on me. And I never been in trouble with the law, but like I said, I let him grow my yard. So I would like to make payments because I don't have the $500 to pay the fine because they're my lesson about letting someone else grow at the house. And now if I ever do this again, I'm gonna make sure that they do everything without leaving me stuck with the bill and trying to get a lien on my property.
So just to let you know, you're not in trouble. This is not a misdemeanor or a felony. This is a municipal code violation, and so definitely not a criminal citation that we're looking at here today. Any questions for Ms. Dorado? Okay. Again, on Monday, please come and talk to the city and see what's possible and available to you so that we can have you take care of this fine. Now you're aware that you do need a permit if you're going to grow outdoors, no more than 6 plants. And at this point in time, because of the fine, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Lambert, that you will be exempt from growing for a year.
Yes, and then I had a question. Are you talking about coming to the city hall place?
Yes.
All right.
And they're open from 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday.
8 to 5. All right, thank you very much for helping me and talking to me and everything, okay?
Thank you for coming tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions before she leaves? Right. And I'm sorry, I have not been opening this up to the public. If anybody wishes to speak on a previous property that I just opened it up for, as well as this property, please step up to the microphone.
All right, one more question. I got time. What happens if like you called the people's names and they didn't show up about their property to explain anything? What would happen is the next step?
Well, we'll figure that out when we decide at the end of the day, or at the end of this agenda item, where either we will say we approve the fines, or we wish to change the fines, or we wish to deny the fines. It's up to us as a group to make that decision.
Okay. Thank you very much again.
Thank you. The next one I have on my list that is here. I know there's one more. 58. Thank you for being my organization. 58, and that is property 16163 33rd Avenue. James Marmon? Yes. And we're going to go ahead and hear from our code enforcement officers first.
Okay, on September 11, 2017, I was driving on 33rd Avenue and I noticed marijuana being cultivated at the property at 16163 33rd Avenue. I then did an abatement order and administrative citation on September 27th. I also did a bill of notice for $500. Then Then on October 11, 2017, I did my follow-up and the marijuana was gone.
That's it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Guilty. I had 4 plants going and I didn't get proper permits. One thing, on the appeal, I got my notice, I think, on Wednesday evening, and City Hall was closed, I believe, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it was very difficult to appeal. Not that I probably had a case that I could appeal. But several months ago, I did come in and see if I could talk to somebody about making payments, because I'm on Social Security disability right now. I plan on going back to work real soon. And they took my name and number and no one got back to me, or maybe I could have this thing partially paid for by now. And so I would like to maybe see about payment arrangements.
Okay. And again, the same thing, go in on Monday into the office, 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday, and you'll be able to discuss that with our wonderful staff at the counter.
So I quit smoking pot so I can go back to work, so it won't be a problem.
Good for you. And I believe that those are all of the properties that we had people here to represent those properties. Did I miss any properties? No? So I would like to get a motion to close the public hearing,
Motion
which
closed.
I think I opened at one point.
Second.
So I have a motion by Vice Mayor Harris and a second by Councilmember Overton. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, the item is closed. Any conversation before we take action? So I just want to say something real quick before. So we have 72 properties, and I do have a couple questions for you, Mr. Lambert. Were all of these properties eradicated or abated?
Voluntarily or by us, yes.
Okay, that's fantastic news. Thank you so much for doing that. Unfortunately, it's fantastic and also kind of sad. This is a lot of why we created the ordinance in the first place, to really reduce. I'm happy that there was a lot of voluntary compliance, and I'm really happy that you guys got out there to be able to eradicate it. I have a question. We had talked about sending a letter to those who most likely are also on this list to say that they cannot grow the following year. Has those letters been sent to these addresses?
Correct. I'll pass this over for you guys to look at. We do need it back, but this is a copy of the letter we did issue to all the property owners that grew marijuana without a permit.
So my question is, if we decide, we haven't decided yet, to to approve the appeal, would they still be ineligible to grow next year?
Negative. If you approve the appeal, that would mean there was no violation on the property.
So and just for next year's purposes, can we try and do this first prior to sending the letter? It just makes more sense to me that way, because in case we make a decision that changes the effects of the ordinance of cultivation, to make sure that this comes to us first, we do the assessments, we do the approval or denials, and then after, of whatever appeals we receive, and then afterwards we can go ahead and send the letters. I appreciate the letters being sent out there. It just seems that the process of order was, in my opinion.
You mean this hearing here?
Yes.
This hearing is not an appeal hearing. This is just a confirmation of assessments. The appeal hearing would have happened within 10 days. They would have had to submit an appeal within 10 days of being cited for the abatement order. Those are the appeals you've heard last year many times. This hearing is just for the confirmation of assessments.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Thank you.
Excuse me. I believe the appeal, we were only given 5 days, if I recall.
5 days.
Yeah, that's why I had the problem. I only had 1 day to get in.
And again, that's something that you can discuss with our staff when you come in on Monday.
To clear that up, they have 5 days to abate it. They have 15 days to appeal it. That's on the administrative citation.
No, why don't we mess
Are we ready for action? And thank you again for this large list and also taking care of all these. That's the biggest part right there.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-12, confirming all the assessments consisting of administrative penalties, the failure to obtain an outdoor marijuana cultivation permit prior to outdoor cultivation of marijuana, and approve the liens against the real properties in accordance with sections 1-5, 1-9, 10-1.9, or 18-9.070A, 18-9.090A, 18-9.130, and 18-11.080 of the Clearlake Municipal Code.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Harris and a second by Councilmember Overton. Let's go ahead and please go through a roll call.
Councilmember Overton? Councilmember Bennett?
Aye.
Councilmember Kramer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Sabatier?
Aye. Thank you, everybody who came for that today. Item number 13, moving on to business, or continued business. Number 13, Mr. Folsom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there is a bill, SB 897, that is being considered. It has to do with homes that have been considered a total loss and located in a governor-declared disaster area. It would require insurance companies to make an immediate advance payment of at least 25% of an insured content policy limit and 4 months of their housing and living expenses without submitting a cumbersome itemization limit. It would require insurance to offer victims no less than 80% of their contents policy limits without the expense itemization requirement. It would also allow insureds, if they choose to report their inventory, to group items and use their own forms rather than use a company's forms, and it would grant a 30-day grace period on policy premiums immediately following a governor-declared disaster. Recommended action is to review and discuss and decide whether you would like to have a letter of support. Just to let you know, Mike McGuire has been a huge supporter of Lake County, City of Clearlake, Napa County, Mendocino County, Sonoma County through all the fires. We're working with them to try and get additional reimbursements through the state. This is one of the bills that he's putting forward to try and assist all of the residents of these areas who've been impacted, who some may be struggling with their insurance companies to get full reimbursement, and this is an attempt to try and assist with that. That concludes my report.
Councilmember Overton.
Yeah, I've dealt a lot with insurance and trying to help some of my seniors and with this whole process. I think this is a very good way to start the process when there's an emergency. Some of the insurance were really great. I know during the Valley Fire, farmers went out and just paid them whatever theirs was. They just sat there and wrote checks. Others were a nightmare for anybody to get anything to even live on. And I mean, weeks after, they still received nothing. I think this is a good way to try to make it to where people, when they have the insurance, they can get their money that they've paid so dearly for over the years. So I am in support of this bill. I've read it in detail. I had them send me over a lot of information. And after dealing with what I've had to deal with the insurance companies, this is a really good thing. I've had people that are, in their 80s that they want them to itemize before they give them a dime. And when they know that their itemizations are $200,000-$300,000 and they're getting 60, it just seemed kind of crazy to put those people through some of that stuff that's been through. So I really do support this bill.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Kramer.
Yes, I agree with Councilwoman Overton. I've been involved with the fire relief efforts for 3 years now, and these nightmares are real. The itemization situation, for instance, it's horrid. I've had folks that they've gone on for months and back and forth, and they're not being covered, and many of them got 50 cents on the dollar. So I'm in support of this letter as well, and the bill.
Anyone else? Anybody from the public wish to speak on this item? Senate Bill 897. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. Any further discussion?
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make the motion that we authorize our mayor to sign a letter of support for SB 897.
And I would second that.
I have a motion by Councilmember Overton and a second by Councilmember Bennett. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Moving forward. sure they'll appreciate our support. Item number 14, Mr. Folsom.
So the Tax Fairness, Transparency, and Accountability Act of 2018 is a measure that's being, that's out there right now where they're gathering signatures to put onto the ballot. The League of Cities is extremely opposed to this, and most cities are as well. It would dramatically limit local revenue authority. It would eliminate local authority to impose a tax for general purposes by majority vote, and instead require all local proposed tax increases to be subject to a 2/3 vote. So let me just explain that real quick. Currently, if you have a general tax, you need 50% plus one, basically. If you have a special tax, which is what Measure V was, then you require 2/3. A special tax is where it is stipulated to go for a specific use. So whereas Measure V was for specific use of roads, this now says that if you have a general tax, which again is the 50% plus one, that would require as well a 2/3 vote. So there would be no differentiation between the two. It would limit all future annexations by requiring a separate 2/3 vote of the affected residents prior to applying any existing city tax. So if this is not so much applicable to us, but if for another city, if they had like a little island just outside of the city that they wanted to annex in, before they could apply those same taxes that all the city residents currently pay, they would also have to vote to approve that by a 2/3 vote, which is kind of silly. It would expand the definition of a tax to include payments voluntarily made in exchange for benefit received, which may cover local franchise fees, potentially also like our development agreement. So it's a problem. It would prohibit any tax to be placed on the ballot unless it either specifically identifies by binding and enforceable limitation how it can be spent, with any change requiring reapproval by the electorate, or states in a separate standalone segment of the bill that the tax revenue is intended for unrestricted revenue purposes. It clarifies a levy, charge, or exaction retained by and payable to a non-government entity as a tax if the local government agency limits in any way the use of the proceeds to address concerns over the Schmier decision. And if you have any questions about that, I'll refer that to the attorney. So the recommended action, to adopt the resolution and authorize the mayor to send a letter of opposition to the businesses listed by the League of California Cities. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much for that report. Any questions to Mr. Folsom? Ms. Overton?
No, not really a question, just kind of a comment. I mean, this would limit us to just about everything. I mean, it would be almost impossible for us to ask for anything or move forward with anything. It's not just the taxes, it's all the other things they've kind of thrown in on this bill. So, I mean, the whole thing is bad. If they would have said, 2/3 on a general and only 51 on a special, I might have went for that one. But they've also thrown in all these other things that go on this here bill. So, I mean, this bill is a bad bill, just a bad one. So I would absolutely say let's send a letter of opposing this for sure.
And I concur. When I first started reading it, I tried to figure out what's really wrong with it, and I kept reading, and it just got worse and worse. To me, the 2/3, it makes sure that the public is in approval of the tax that's being passed, and it goes to a specific purpose. I really like that, but the rest, on top of that, just makes us not able to do what we need to do, and we need to have our own ability. Cities need to be able to have their own abilities to control their fates, and that right there seals it. So I'm going to open it up to the public, seeing none other pens up. Anybody wishes to speak on this item, please step up to the podium.
No, it just sounds good to oppose it.
You gave your vote, thank you very much. So I'll bring it back to the council. Any further discussion? Councilmember Kramer?
No, I just wanted to make a motion.
Go for it.
Ready.
I think we're ready.
Okay, I'd like to motion on to adopt resolution number 2018-13, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Clearlake opposing the Tax Fairness, Transparency, and Accountability Act of 2018.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Kramer and a second by Vice Mayor Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 15, I believe. Review of norms and procedures. Ms. Swan.
council members. I'm going to give the presentation tonight on the city council norms and procedures. As you know, it is the policy of the council to review those once a new council member has taken office. And with council member Kramer's appointment at the last council meeting, at the special meeting he was sworn in, we are now going to go over the norms and procedures of the council. Exciting stuff. All right, an overview of the council's responsibilities. The council is responsible for the appointment of the city manager and the city attorney, the establishment of boards and appointments of members, along with legislative decisions and policy making. The city manager is responsible for the preparation of a recommended budget, recruitment, hiring, and supervision of personnel, contractors, and consultants, the implementation of the council's policies, programs, and public services, and providing professional advice on policy manuals, intergovernmental affairs, say that 10 times, and economic development and environmental issues. Basically, the day-to-day management of city business and personnel. The mayor and vice mayor are chosen annually at the December meeting by motion and majority vote. The mayor and vice mayor serve January 1st through December 31st. Council member correspondence on city letterhead shall be reviewed by the council prior to release. These are just some administrative matters that are in your manual. I just thought we should go over them real quick. The regional board attendance at the end of this meeting, the mayor will revisit the council member appointments. Council members should attend at least 75% of the boards that they're appointed to by the mayor. There is usually an alternate, so if you cannot attend a regional board meeting, please let the alternate know so perhaps they can attend. The council needs to have ethics training and sexual harassment prevention training every 2 years. The council majority gives direction to the city manager and the city attorney. We ask that if you have agenda item questions, please contact Greg, the city manager, prior to the meeting. Council members work through the city manager or the city attorney on issues, concerns, or questions. The individual council members' requests for information should be made to the city manager or the city clerk. Information requests taking more than 1 hour of staff time must be approved by the council. Individual council member information requests should be limited to 3 to 5 requests per week. The city commissions and committees, which the mayor will revisit at the end of this meeting, include the planning commission, which they will not be revisited at this meeting. But at the next meeting, the vacancy that was created by Mr. Kramer's switch from the planning commission to the council, I believe that's coming up for the next council meeting for appointment. The zoning code update, design review manual, steering committee, the traffic safety committee, the marketing committee, those are made annually normally at the first January meeting. The boards include, these are boards that include not just council members and staff members, but also other members from the county and other cities, Lakeport perhaps. So that's the Area Planning Council, the Transit Authority, LAFCO, the Airport Land Use Commission, the PEG Board, and the Clearlake Redevelopment Oversight Board.
And if I can just, for the people watching, LAFCO is the local area formation.
Yes.
Commission. And PEG is the public education and government television, basically.
Thank you. Council meetings and agenda postings are governed by the Brown Act. All meetings are open to the public unless there's a closed session as authorized by law. All meetings are broadcast and open for broadcasting and simulcast on the PEG channel. I believe they're live streamed as well.
Yes, they are now.
At the first meeting in January, the council approves the calendar year meeting schedule. If we continue a late meeting, normally they end at 10 p.m. unless the council, by majority vote, the mayor, by majority vote of the council, extends it past 10 p.m., which has happened. By the government code, the council must meet at least once per month, but the council can cancel up to 4 meetings per year. Traditionally, we haven't had the second meeting in November because it falls on Thanksgiving, and December because it's around Christmas time, the holiday season. Special meetings can be called by the mayor or a majority of the council with 24 hours notice provided to the council and the public. Special meetings can include study sessions, joint meetings with other boards or agencies, things like that. Closed sessions are a meeting of the council to discuss city business in private consultation with the city attorney as authorized under the Brown Act. Emergency meetings can be called immediately to deal with emergency situations. 3 members of the city council constitute a quorum. If fewer than 3 members appear at a regular meeting, we then have to adjourn. Any briefings involving a majority of the council must be open to the public and properly noticed. Any information or advisory memo to the council does not violate the Brown Act. For example, emails from staff to the council. However, it may be a public record. So please do not hit reply all when you receive an email from staff and you see that the other members of the council are included.
And if I can just interrupt, that includes text too, so sometimes you'll get texts with some information that's important for the council to know. Please just don't hit reply all. If you want to reply, hit reply to any the original sender.
So the council cannot meet to discuss city business outside of a properly noted meeting with a few exceptions, such as conferences, like the League of Cities, annual conference, community meetings, meetings of other legislative bodies such as the Board of Supervisors, or social or ceremonial events. But when you go to these other meetings or events, you must avoid talking about city business while at the event, unless it's agendized and properly posted. Serial meetings. Serial meetings occur when a majority of the council members have communicated about an issue and have developed a collective opinion. It can develop when council members have either heard directly or indirectly each other's opinion on an issue enough to develop an agreement on the topic. For example, a daisy chain meeting happens when one council member calls a second council member to talk about a topic. Then that second council member calls a third council member, and then the third council member calls another. There's also what's called a hub and spoke meeting, when an employee calls a council member to discuss a topic, then calls council member 2 and 3, telling each council member what the other council member said. Those are violations of the Brown Act, and it does, as Greg said, include email communication. The mayor, the city manager, and the city clerk organize the agenda. We do have a formal agenda request policy, which was adopted in 2008 for members of the public to request items to be put on the agenda. There's also a section in the regular agenda for council members to bring up future agenda items, and it's at the end of the meeting. The role of the mayor. The mayor is responsible for maintaining order and decorum during the meeting. The duty and responsibility to ensure that the rules of operation and decorum are observed belong to the mayor. He or she maintains control of the communications between the council members and among the council staff and public. The mayor shall intervene when a council member, staff, or other meeting participant is being verbally or otherwise attacked by a member of the public. The city manager is the responsible sergeant at arms. Alrighty, rules of order. Rosenberg's rules of order state that the rules shall establish order, they should be clear, they should be user-friendly, and they should enforce the will of the majority while protecting the rights of the minority. We should tell the public what the council is doing. We should keep the public informed while the council is doing it. And when the council makes a decision, let's tell the public what it was. Agenda item discussions begin with the council, the mayor announcing the agenda item number, the agenda item subject, and the format for considering the item. Then the staff report is given, and the mayor asks if there's any technical questions of staff, invites public comment, closes public discussion, and invites council discussion. Motions. There are three basic motions. One that puts forward a decision for the council's consideration. That's the motion that you do most of the time. There's a motion to amend, which changes that basic motion at the request of the person who made the motion and with the consent of the council member who seconded. And then there's a third motion, a substitute motion, a completely different action than the motion on the floor. That's rare, but it does happen. These motions are not debatable. The motion to adjourn, the motion to recess, the motion to fix the time to adjourn, that would be if we said, okay, we're going to stop the meeting completely at 9 o'clock. A motion to table, tabling an item means to consider it later. And all of the above require a simple majority vote. A motion to limit debate, which is a motion to state that we're going to hear this item for a half an hour, and that's all. That requires a 2/3 vote of the council, or 4 out of 5. After a vote is taken, there could be a motion to reconsider if the council member wants to reopen the subject. It has to be made by at the same meeting by a member who voted in the majority on the original motion. It cannot be brought up by a council member who was voting in the minority. If the motion is passed, the matter is discussed and debated as if it were on the floor for the first time. A majority vote is 3 out of 5 council members voting in favor. Some ordinances require a 4/5 vote of the council, such as an urgency ordinance. Tie votes occur when there is a 2-2 vote, a council member is absent or abstaining. If it's a tie vote, the motion fails. Courtesy and decorum during discussion. There's a point of privilege, which is used to state anything that interferes with the normal comfort of the meeting. The AC is too loud, which happens, or if a council member cannot hear, you can state point of privilege. There's a point of order, which is used to state anything that would not be considered appropriate conduct at the meeting. And then there's an appeal. The council member may appeal the ruling of the mayor if it's something the mayor has decided. If the appeal is seconded and the majority votes, the ruling is reversed. That could possibly mean, that could happen if the mayor decides to close the council meeting because there's a disruption, but other council members feel it's not a disruption and disagree. It could happen during that, such as that time. All right, calls for orders of the day. If the discussion has gone off topic, the mayor calls for the council to return to the agenda item discussion. A withdrawal of a motion. The maker of a motion on the floor can withdraw that motion anytime, but it can be made by another council member or the mayor. Alrighty. Any questions?
You've just made me realize there's things I'm not doing.
That's why we have a refresher.
Are there any questions for Ms. Swanson? Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? It's very controversial.
Exciting.
All right, bringing it back. Thank you very much for
I also
part
have
two.
additional
And there is
information.
change, I believe, in there, so let's go to part two.
All right. So, prior to adoption in 2016, there was no clear process on appointments of the planning commissioners and how to do so. The ad hoc committee met, and recommended to the council to take applications, have a small ad hoc committee made up of the mayor, the vice mayor, and the planning commission chair, review the applications and recommend up to 3 applicants for interviews. So it's recommended by staff that the council review that process and make any changes or recommendations to staff.
Very much.
That's my report.
Are there any questions? Councilmember Overton. And then we'll open it to the public and make a decision on what it is that we want to change, if anything.
Well, after going through many of these now, I really feel that if we are to have an ad hoc committee, 2 council members should never be on it. I'm kind of totally against ad hoc committees with 2 when it's something that's coming back to the council for decision making. Because the reality is you only have to get 1 other council member, and I don't really think that's very fair to the public or to any of the people who put in applications. So I like seeing them out there on the floor and interviewing them. You know, I think we can take it down. If there was a whole, I mean, if we were a big city, we got 30 of them, I might see this. And I mean, I was one that thought this might be a good idea, but I'm realizing that is not. It's not a good idea. But if you decide to do it, I definitely believe only 1 council member, or maybe other people from outside of the realm of things here would be on that ad hoc committee. But personally, I'd like to just see them all. Let us make our decisions.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Craig?
I tend to agree with Councilwoman Overton on that. I don't think, we had what, 4 show up, so we could have had 6 when I was, and I didn't take that long. I was the last one interviewed, and it didn't seem like much time at all went by. I think we should hear each applicant as well. If there were an ad hoc committee, I agree also that it should not include 2 council members. 1 council member, perhaps the planning commission chair, or city manager, something like that. But I think if there's 2 of the council members, and on setting that at the number of the applicants that are going to be in there, and that represents 2 of the 5 council members that are later going to be discussing it, I think it almost conflicts them. So I'd be in favor of just opening it up. Obviously, if we got 20 people applying, there might be some limitation, but certainly more than 3, or even, I would say 6 people would not be a problem.
Vice Mayor Harris?
I would concur that even, we kind of discussed that during that ad hoc meeting, that it was kind of an unnecessary event to take place with as few applicants as we had. I would say that we would have maybe a provision that if we had potentially over 10 applicants, then we would utilize that process. But anything under the number 10 applicants, we would just go ahead and hear everybody individually.
Councilmember Bennett?
Yeah, on both issues, I think if we have I think 2 council people on an ad hoc committee, that's 2 votes out of the 5. It's already pretty much set. So I think 1 council member mayor or vice mayor, or whoever the mayor determines would be adequate, and then staff member and whoever else. And to Councilman Harris's point, I agree. If it's a large number of applicants, then we wouldn't want to sit here nor put the public through or the applicants through 10, 15 interviews for one appointment. I think it should be narrowed down and have a reasonable number that we would interview from the dais.
Thank you, Councilmember Overton, you again.
I do agree with that. My question, and maybe Greg can answer this. If we take out this and just say we want to interview everybody, do we need a policy in place to say if it's over 10, or is that a decision that can happen at the discretion of the council at any time? Or is this something that we really need to put into place right now?
You probably could just do it at a future time. When we come back and say that there's a vacancy, we can just notify you, and then if we end up with a large number, we could bring that back and say, how do you want us to proceed with that?
We have 30
I
applications.
mean, it would add more time, because then you'd have to appoint folks to it. I don't know that we're going to necessarily get more than 10 applicants for the planning commission position.
But I just wanted to know is so, I mean, I agree that if we had that many, we would want to do that, but that's not something we need in our policies, am I correct?
Don't have to have it.
In my opinion, I would prefer to have it for the fact that I'd hate to spend more time without a fit council member or a fit planning commissioner, especially when there's a lot of projects trying to go through or important meetings that are coming up, or for instance, when there's the final decision on a contract agreement with new personnel, for instance, one that we're looking forward to in the future, that we would want to make sure that that doesn't get delayed by not having what I think is necessary to have at least 5 people on board in order to make those decisions.
But as we said, you can make it at the time we go out. When they tell us how many applications come in, you can say, yes, we do need to have somebody look those over. So you can decide it at the time that that happens. Hopefully we don't have this happen that often. You know, so I mean, it's only happened a couple of times in 13 years, so it's not like it's that, like it's going to happen a lot. It doesn't happen normally that much. But at that time, you can decide at the time when you get the applications in if you think you need to have it. Doesn't really have to be in our policies and procedures. I'm just saying, when you put things in our policies and procedures, it becomes how it has to go pretty much. So it's really better to keep as little of that stuff, in my mind, out of the policies and procedures and let that be the decision of the council that's sitting up there at the time. Other people may think differently than us, you know, and they may want to have a special meeting and do nothing but interviews, and that's their choice. I don't think we should be limiting the next council that comes on's choices. And when you put it into policies and procedures, it becomes no choice for them. They have to bring it back and kind of get rid of it again. When the reality is we can put an ad hoc committee together at any time. That's why it's called ad hoc. So I think it's best to leave it off. My opinion.
And as far as the ad hoc committee, I think there's a difference between an ad hoc committee to choose and select a planning commissioner and a council member versus an ad hoc committee for an ordinance, because I would find it a waste of our staff's time to bring an ordinance where only one council member agrees and the rest of the 4 may not agree, and all of a sudden we have worked hard on collecting information, having meetings to provide an ordinance back to the council that may potentially be denied.
No, we're not on that particular.
But I'm just saying, we're talking on ad hoc committees, but for this specific one, I agree.
You might want to agendize that one because we could have a lot of discussion on that.
But for this one, I do agree that having one and maybe offering more public input on who the person representing them on the planning commission and council would be a better way to go. So not having 2 council members, I agree with that. Councilmember Kramer.
If I understand correctly from the city clerk, we're going to be interviewing planning commission members at our next meeting. Is that what you said?
I believe
Yes.
it's the next
The
meeting.
April 18th is when the application period closes for planning commissioners. So the idea is then to, if there is an ad hoc committee in place, to go forward with them shortly thereafter with a recommendation coming forward at the 26th?
Yeah, 26th.
So the applicants would come before us on the 26th or the 18th.
Not the 18th, no, that's when the application period closes.
Okay. And we have,
So whether there's an ad hoc committee in place or not, whoever the applicants are, if there's an ad hoc committee in place, based on the policy, then they would recommend 3 to come. If you want to change that, that's what would.
we need to do that tonight, is my point.
Correct.
So we're at that, we need to come to a decision whether we're gonna just open it up for all applicants or have an ad hoc committee to review the applications. Again, my preference would be to let everybody, all the applicants speak. I don't envision us having, like you said, I don't envision us having 8, let alone 10.
I think we're all in consensus here. I mean, it sounds to me like we're all in consensus to open it up to all the applicants.
I agree.
All right. Opening it up to the public. Anybody wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'm bringing it back, and it looks like we're ready for some action.
So basically, just need a motion to change that part of the policies and procedures.
We were just looking for direction, and it sounds like we have consensus.
That's all you need, perfect. Thank you very much. We're gonna move on to city manager's report. Oh, no? Yes.
All right, well, a couple of things. I did put in applications with the League of Cities for several Helen Putnam Awards. Councilmember Overton had asked that we do that, and I thought that was a great idea, especially because we've had a few really successful programs. So we've done that. We met with Congressman Garamendi a few weeks ago to discuss the sulfur fire and some other issues, and we are currently working with them to see if we can work our way into some additional funding. We met with the architect on the Highlands Park design project. We got very excited, Doug and I, our public works director, met with them out at the site. Very excited walking through that. They're currently working on getting those designs together so that we can put that out for bid and hopefully get that going this year. I attended along with several council members, the Board of Supervisors, BOS, Board of Supervisors meeting regarding the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The regional director for this area was there talking about how they want to assist Lake County, and we were there to show support. I attended the ribbon cutting for Valenzuela's Tire on Old Highway 53, gave a presentation yesterday to the California Transportation Commission in Santa Rosa on the successes and challenges that we've been having with regard to our roads. They're very impressed by the fact that we have our Measure V, where we're a salt-heavy city. That helps to leverage the SB1 funds. We've already received, we've been awarded, we should be receiving soon, $200,000 out of SB1 funds to do a project here on our Civic Center. So that's, we wouldn't have been eligible for that money had we not been a salt-heavy city, which means if we did not have Measure V in place. So that's just icing on the cake for us on being able to do additional projects. And then finally, a big thank you to Phil Harris and Performance Mechanical. They've made a very gracious donation to our animal shelter in putting in HVAC, and we want to thank them very much for that. Just some events that are coming up. We have Legislative Action Day. For anyone who's going to that, please RSVP and let them know. April 26th is our regular city council meeting. April 28th, so coming up in just a couple of weeks, is Clearlake Cleanup Day. That's on Saturday. That's exciting. Everybody please come out for that. We made a big impact last year. I think we're going to make another big impact this year with that. May 4th is the League Division meeting in Lakeport. May 5th is the Lake County Fire Protection District Community Wildfire Preparedness Day, so please come out for that as well. June 2nd and 3rd, we'll be having a low-cost rabies clinic here at City Hall. I believe that's where we're going to be having it. June 23rd is the Canine Dinner fundraiser. If you haven't already gotten your tickets, get them soon because they're almost sold out. And then also coming up in June is the Independence Day Parade and fireworks. And I believe that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. And Councilmember Overton.
Thank you. Well, I'm sorry that I missed the Valenzuela Tire opening. Unfortunately, I have to work. Very excited to see a new business, another business here in town. So I went to the Thompson Ravioli dinner last weekend. It was very nice. It was a full house. I'm sure people seen the pictures on the paper. It was very full. I was lucky enough to sit with our assemblywoman just by chance, picked her table. She wasn't there. I had to sit at the front table. Very nice talking to her. Lots of things going on, trying to keep our money and keep our people going here. I met with Cornerstone. We had a meeting, and our Mayor Spatier was there also. So we're working with them on trying to get the concept of helping our homeless into some permanent living. I have several meetings scheduled, one with our senator to talk about drug addiction and maybe an opiate clinic, and maybe setting up a town hall to discuss that. As soon as I talk to him, I'll be contacting our administrator on that. And and then on the 28th, after your cleanup day, you want to kind of relax, come have lunch down at the community place, because we are at the community center, because we're going to have our garden tour open. Our community garden is open. Our public access channel, who has this on the air for us, has a new studio there. We want to show off the paint job that we've done so far on the community center, and hopefully people will volunteer to help me finish that and also volunteer in the community garden. We do have a senior garden there that we do have some volunteers that are going to start growing that. We are looking for more people to help there. So we're trying to make that area just a really community center. That was the whole point. So please come down and join us. We will be serving breakfast burritos from 8 to 10. Then those walk opens at 10. We'll have booths. If anybody's interested in booths down there, please give us a contact at the senior center there. And just come have a really fun day. We're just going to kind of good old-fashioned garden party. We'll probably set up some horseshoe pits and just some fun stuff. Have band playing in the afternoon. So after you've done all this and cleaned up our city, come down there and relax and enjoy the good community atmosphere there. So all in one day. Then after that, you could go over to KFPC to their, basically they're having at the Yacht Club over in Lakeport, just a nice get together, a potluck for the community to come and get to know them and how their station works. So make a really big day of it. Start early in the morning and end with a nice, layout of the kickback, and have a nice little get together over in Lakeport too. So come join the fun. That's a big day for everybody.
Right. Thank you very much. Councilmember Kramer.
Oh, yes. I've had a lot of things going here the last couple of weeks since it went out. After being appointed, I was able to get a ride-along with Chief Tully. And it happened to be the day of Senator Congressman Garamendi was here. And Chief was in that meeting, so I get to worm my way into it as well and get my 2 cents worth in. And then I also went to the Board of Supervisors meeting to give support to State Director Van, USDA State Director Van, and I also met her afterwards and mentioned to her our emergency shelter project, and she thought, said if there's anything she could do to help, if not directly, even indirectly, to support it, please let her know. So I intend to send her that same package. Last week, I spent 3 days in League of Cities Planning Commissioners Academy that I was already scheduled for. I got my ethics done, which I gave to Swanson today. So I don't know if you guys got it done, but
You're clear. You're clear. That's good.
I'm clear. I've just still got the other one left to do, but you can do that online. And then yesterday morning, I got a call about 9:30 after this last weekend. We got the new appointments out, and he would ask me to go on to the Area Planning Council, Lake County Consolidated Services Agency. I got a call yesterday morning at 9:30 and asked me why I wasn't in Lakeport at the meeting. I had no idea that there was a meeting, but at any rate, I was able to sit in and attend that meeting by conference call, and got my feet wet. They talked about several things. Our problem there was our connection wasn't too good, so we kept losing them and going back. But altogether, I think it was a good introduction to me of what was going on with that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the Lower Lake Days Parade and Barbecue, which is Sunday, May 27th of 2018. So everybody hopefully will support our neighbor to the south, Lower Lake, and come to that. It'll be a good time. That's a Sunday, Memorial Day weekend. And then I have tentatively set May 12th to do our annual spring cemetery cleanup, which we started last year, so this will be the second annual one. I would hope that everybody could make the time to spend a couple hours out there. It'll be from 8 to 12. And we always try to have some, I don't know if we'll have hot dogs, but we'll have soft drinks and water. So please come if you can. Support our local cemetery maintenance. They're having their financial difficulties, and this will go a long ways to making it a dignified place to come to. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Kramer. Councilmember Bennett.
I want to thank Councilmember Kramer for covering for me, and I apologize for having not made arrangements for the Area Planning Commission coverage before, but an emergency appointment came up that I could not miss. And, if you don't get initiated with your feet to the fire, not much exciting last couple of weeks. We did have a PEG board meeting Monday night. We do have a new board member who is the mayor of Lakeport, Maria Turner, is it? Maria Turner is our new addition. And we have a prospective member from our community, first member at large. And I apologize, I don't know her name. But she attended our meeting Monday night and very interested, and I think she'll be a good addition to our, lives about 3 blocks away from here. And is a good friend of Barbara Crichton, who recommended her to the board. We're moving ahead with our oral history project that goes through our county museum through Lower Lake, Middletown, and Lakeport. The gentleman who runs that, and we're considering establishing a underwriter program for our presentations on our PEG channel, which is Channel 8, and contacting local businessmen. So get ready for being hit up, local businessmen, and getting a fee schedule set up. We're talking to other PEG stations throughout the state to see what they do on that. So again, as Councilwoman Overton mentioned, the garden party fundraiser, the more show up, the better it will be for our community. And PEG Station is a co-sponsor of that with the Senior Center, and look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Bennett. Vice Mayor Harris.
Nothing super exciting on the front for myself. I had, as usual, multiple civic organizations that I participate in, and had a few events that I participated in, went to, and had quite a few meetings with some concerned citizens, either by phone or in person. So trying to address issues as people bring them up. But I wanted to take a moment to just kind of give a shout out to our city staff. I appreciate all the efforts that are underway as I drive through the city and I see all the things taking place at the parks and on the road crews and our police force, and doing an exceptional job. I see that the catalyst to change is immense here, and the things that are improving on a regular basis are really beneficial to our community, and I do appreciate that. Every effort that's made, I appreciate. And the citizens that come to our meetings, I really appreciate you as well. It's people that bring their opinions to us is where we actually get a little bit of a feedback, and we understand what's going on in the community. We appreciate the time that you come and spend here and take out of your night to come hang out with a bunch of boring rhetoric, most of it, but the rest of it, whatever you can pull out of it, whatever you can bring to us that'll help us, a lot of it's just business as usual, but do very much appreciate it. So that'll conclude for me. Thanks.
I I find our rhetoric a little exciting sometimes. Thank you very much. A lot of things have already been said that I was involved with. Met with John Garamendi, but I want to kind of identify certain people in the group. I really felt that Councilmember Russ Kramer, our Fire Chief Willie Cepeda, our Public Works Director Doug Herron, and our Interim Chief Tim Selly were absolutely, they were demanding, let's put it that way, of what our congressman needs to do for our city in order to help us to recoup from our losses of the fire and other issues that we're dealing with just in general. And so thank you very much for the effort in that conversation. I'm glad that by chance you were there. On March 28th, I believe it was, I was here with Joanne Sakato, who offered our community a resilience workshop. This is where I messed up our sound system, so I apologize for that. I just turned everything off. Luckily, I figured out how to turn everything back on. But thank you, Joanne Sakato, for offering a way for our residents to be able to cope with the hardships of dealing with fires. Even if you weren't evacuated or even if you didn't lose a home, you are affected by people we know who have had a loss or have been absolutely negatively affected by it. So I really thank her for offering that workshop for our residents. For those of you who don't know, and we just had a wonderful discussion today about cannabis permits. If you are planning on growing outdoor, your maximum of 6 plants, no later than April 30th, you must submit your permits to the city of Clearlake. After that, you are not eligible to grow outdoors. I also attended the Board of Supervisors on April 3rd to support Kim Van and her representing the USDA. I'm really looking forward to see what they can do for us. She spoke of our projects that we've already communicated with her, and so that gives me high hopes that those projects are going to be coming to fruition. I met with Marilyn Wakefield, and we have an innovation summit. There was one last year at the Lucerne Castle, and they're planning on doing another one this year. I want to say it's probably going to be at the KEC, at the Cornelius Event Center. Not 100% sure, but it will be happening on between June 22nd and June 24th. Adventist Health has been taking a huge part in moving our community forward, and so all that they do for us here to help us is wonderful and should be supported. I think that's all I have on here. Oh yes, we threw our first pitch. Mine was embarrassing. It reminded me of the movie Major League, just a little outside, while Phil threw the first softball pitch. So next time we'll switch. I'll do the softball and he can do the fastball. And then I just really want to put out there again, April 28th, our cleanup day. It's really a time where our community comes together. It's us taking pride in our community. We're going to meet right across the street from here at Austin Beach Resort at 8 a.m. We will have tools for you to be able to pick up the garbage with, pickers, garbage bags, and go out in your community, in your neighborhood, or join us where we'll be between Pomo Elementary and Park Street to help clean that area. And then afterwards come back for some free hot dogs and just some celebration of making our community a better place. And that is it for me at this moment in time. And so we will move on to number 16, which is the changes to the mayor's appointments for 2018. I've reviewed the list of all the committees, and I am going to make no change except for this one exception. I will be moving Councilmember Overton into the primary member for the League of Cities, and Councilmember Russ Kramer will be the alternate. And for every other position open right now, which is vacant, the Redevelopment Oversight Board, the Area Planning Commission, and Transit Authority, which it looks like they had a crystal ball and knew that I was going to place you there originally, and also the Lake County Airport Land Use Commission, I will go ahead and appoint Councilmember Russ Kramer to those committees. Is there one more? Yeah, Redevelopment Oversight, Area Planning Commission, Lake County Airport, and then the League of Cities as an alternate. I believe that's. And so those would be my changes to the committee and mayor appointments. Any discussion on that? I'm going to open this up to the public. Anybody wish to speak on this item? Bringing it back, I'm looking for a motion to confirm.
Motion to confirm.
Second?
Got a motion by Vice Mayor Harris and a second by Councilmember Bennett. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 17, consideration of appointing council members as representatives to the League of California Cities Redwood Empire Division, resolution number 2018-14. And since we have Councilmember Overton as the primary and Councilmember Kramer as the alternate, I'm going to say that those will be the representatives for the Redwood Empire Division. Those are my appointments. Any discussion on that? Any denials?
I go to them, so thank you.
And thank you for going to those. Those are important for us, important connections. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this? Seeing none, coming back and looking for, doesn't look like we're looking for a motion. Yes, we need to adopt the resolution, number 2018-14, with those appointments.
Yeah, right, I guess move that we adopt resolution number 2018-14, excuse me. I make a motion that we adopt resolution number 2018-14, appointing council members, well, I guess, Overton and myself as the primary, as representatives to the League of California Cities Redwood Empire Division.
With Ms. Overton as the primary.
With Ms. Overton as the primary and myself as the alternate representation. Representative.
I have a motion by Councilmember Kramer and a second by Councilmember Bennett. Since it's a resolution, can I please have a roll call?
Councilmember Overton?
Aye.
Councilmember Bennett?
Aye.
Councilmember Kramer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Aye.
Mayor Sabatier?
Aye. Thank you very much. Any future agenda items from any of our council members? So I do have one. This has been discussed previously, and this was brought up during our discussion of the assessments. I do not believe that we currently have a payment plan with the city, and because of the fact that people may not be able to pay and maybe they can pay little increments for fines such as these assessments, I'm wondering if we want to look into creating a payment plan option.
I thought that when we did this, we talked about that, and I thought we were going to leave that up to the finance director to just make arrangements.
And that's what we've done in the past, so.
I thought that we just did not do the payment plan.
I just, at the expiration of that discussion, I asked Lee Lambert, our supervising code enforcement person, to talk to our new finance director about that. He informed me that previous finance director had been allowing those types of things, so.
Excellent. Perfect.
I'm assuming that Alan will be doing the same.
Because that had come up before, and we said that, we'd rather get some money than no money, and, so that we just had left it up to them to make the decision what the payment plan would be.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll have Alan take a look at it and just make sure that we're good to go. If we've got any issues, then we'll come back.
That is perfect. All right, well then there's no future agenda items as of this moment. Everyone's good? Meeting is over. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We always appreciate having people give us their input and listen to what is going on in our city.
We should start having fun.